Right. A very good afternoon. I hope you all can hear my voice.
Yes, ma'am. Good
Right.
afternoon to you.
Yeah, good afternoon. So today, as let me just quickly remind you, it's a BA second year semester 3, where we are dealing with the structure of modern English. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So yesterday I have given an overview of what we are going to do today, isn't it? The entire
Yes.
syllabus, in fact, all the 5 modules, along with the units we have discussed yesterday, and that was an introductory class. So today I'll start with block 1, which deals with sounds, right?
Sure,
I
ma'am.
hope, yeah, I hope you can see the, okay, before I continue with my session, I just wanted to put it across. Your problem, I did convey it with the Dean of Arts, Dr. Madhuri Madam, and then she told me to inform you that you need to approach the Vice Chancellor if possible. Come down to the university, whatever problem you're facing with the classes and the schedule clashing of that, you can come and discuss with them, right?
Sure, ma'am.
Yeah, this is what I just wanted to convey to you. Right. So block 1, which talks about sounds and how sounds are produced. What are the various organs of speech, right? The mechanism of sounds, the procedure of sounds, and what is the process and what are the various organs. And that is what we are going to deal in Unit 1. And coming to Unit 2, we will talk about the vowel sounds, right? The vowels, as in speech sounds, or probably in the English language, vowel sounds, and the consonant sounds as the third unit. Okay, right. So to start with, let us just quickly uh, give you an introduction about what speech is. So it's a kind of a common aspect of human existence, so that its complexity is often overlooked in day-to-day life. And as we all know, speech is the result of many interlinked, intricate processes that need to be performed with precision. And of course, as a language learners or as a language teachers and linguists, speech production is a very, it's an area of interest, right? And this term speech, what does it refer to? It is in fact refers to the human ability to articulate thoughts in an audible form. So it also refers to the formal one-sided discourse delivered by an individual on a particular topic to be heard by an audience. Right. And and that is one thing, I think, because of which it's a significant way speech, in which the human species and we are like, kind of uh, we are you know kind of differentiated only because of this aspect of speech, and that is the uniqueness of human beings, isn't it? And we are different from all the other animal species, and that's really a wonderful gift, I can tell you, right? And we can produce all the sounds of all the languages of this world, right? So, and the history of, one second, let me just share this slide also. Right. Now, here, before we get into the process, let me just give you some more introduction. The history of human existence reveals that speech was an empowering act, isn't it? So, at times when the written word was an attribute of the elite and noble classes, speech was the vehicle which carried popular sentiments. Now, in adverse times, speech was forbidden or regulated by authority. At such times, poets and ordinary people sang their speech in double meaning poems in defiance to authority, isn't it? So, in present times, the debate on an individual's right to free speech is often raised in varied contexts. So, by the way, what is speech mechanism? So, speech mechanism, you can see the slide here. Okay. I hope you can see the slide. A quick reply from you. Yeah, thank you, thank you. Right. So it's in fact, this mechanism is a function which starts in the brain. Okay. now moves through the biological processes of respiration, then phonation and articulation. So these are the three steps involved. First and foremost, it's the brain which initiates, okay, the speech thing, right? Then the next three levels are the respiration, the phonation, and articulation to produce sounds. Now, these sounds are received and perceived through biological and neurological processes. So the lungs are the primary organs involved in the respiratory stage, and the larynx is involved in the phonation stage, and the organs in the mouth are involved in the articulatory stage. Now, if you look at the slide over here, it's clearly given see the air breathed in, that is, and the lungs, the air pressed out, and that is via windpipe called trachea, then goes to larynx, then goes to pharynx. Right. Okay. Now that is not just the mechanism. I mean, that is how we actually, I mean, put it in a nutshell, that is how it happens. So basically, if you look at the mechanism, it's called as aggressive pulmonic airstream process. Okay. The speech sounds are emitted, or the sounds of the speech we get through because of an aggressive pulmonic airstream mechanism. What is aggressive? That is when you exhale air. That is what which induces the sound. Okay. And when you inhale, you kind of, take it into the lungs, and then slowly you try to exhale air through trachea or the windpipe, and then from there to the vocal cords, where the larynx, or it's also called Adam's apple, right? And from there it is kind of thrown into the articulatory system. That is where we get to hear different sounds. It's just like an orchestra. The articulatory system of the mouth is just like an orchestra, where if you've noticed an orchestra playing their instrument at different kinds of instruments being played simultaneously, similarly, the same thing happens in our mouth, the articulatory organ, where the sounds are produced in a varied manner, in a varied intensity, right? So now let us quickly take a look at the various organs of the speech, right? One is the pharynx, the oral cavity, the nasal cavity, the uvula, tongue, where tongue is again, there are different parts on the tongue which kind of articulate, I mean, which produces a different levels of sounds, right? Especially when it talk about vowel sounds. That is the tip of the tongue, and a part of the tongue just behind the tip is called the blade, then the front, middle, back, and root. These are the various parts of the tongue. And we have hard palate. Hard palate is the upper jaw, or the hard kind of a portion, the concave kind of a portion, which you find it just behind the ridge, teeth ridge. Okay. Then you have the soft palate, which is called the velum, and alveolar ridge, teeth ridge. And we also have the teeth upper and lower, the lips upper and lower, and epiglottis. Now, please look into it, because these are all the organs which are involved in the articulation of the speech sounds. Okay. Now, here we also have a detailed diagram labeled along with pointers here to see and understand the speech organs. Right. Now, this is the physics of speech actually. Now, it's speech sounds are produced by changes in pressure of an outward flow of air from lungs. And the final sound is dictated by the way the air moves through the nose, mouth, and throat, collectively the vocal apparatus. So once that we breathe in air, and when exhaled out, it happens in a very slow manner. So, but when you are actually respiring, when there is a normal breathing going on, the inhalation and exhalation happens at the same space, I mean, same time, at the same speed. But when it is like you are supposed to kind of speak or have to produce some sort of sound, maybe even in terms of singing, then the exhalation is slowed down. You kind of inhale, but the exhalation is a very slow process, because as you speak, the sounds have to come out through larynx or the vocal cords, and depending upon the kind of sounds, the vocal cords keep vibrating. Now, if they, they are like, that's also called a glottis. When there is the glottis or the vocal cords are wide apart, when the air passes or pumps out through this glottis, which is where the vocal cords are wide apart, then you produce voiceless sounds. Okay. But when the cords are together and they kind of vibrate, and when the glottis, the space between these cords are very minimal and they kind of clearly vibrate, then you produce voiced sounds. Okay. Now, for example, just one or two, I'll tell you. Voiced are like, you have these sounds called z, d, and most of the vowel sounds are voiced sounds. When it comes to voiceless, like you have p, a few consonant sounds like p, t, s. These are all voiceless, right? And how can you differentiate? I mean, when you touch the larynx, that is, you can see there is a protuberance on your neck, which is called Adam's apple. Actually, it's known by Adam's apple. Some of them can feel it, and some of them it is quite obvious on the neck if you've noticed it. And when you put a hand on that, you can see it vibrating, right, to a certain extent. And when it is like a voiced sound, it vibrates quite intensely. When it is a voiceless, I mean, you hardly find that vibrations. Okay. And the chords which are placed in larynx, that is where it is called the voice box also, and or the Adam's apple, where you can feel the sound. And that is how you differentiate between a voiced and a voiceless sound. Now here, so we move on to the next slide. So this is the mechanism of the just now, which I spoke about, like, the brain, which sends the ideas of the motivation and the language regulation, right? This is the part which brain takes it up. And then you have the upper vocal tract, where that is the articulation, resonance, vocal folds are in charge for the vibrations. And then we have the respiratory system, which is for the activation. Okay, this is how the process takes place. Right. So here the impulses from the brain signals the diaphragm to raise, pushing air from the lungs and allowing them to deflate. Then it travels from the lungs to the trachea into the larynx. So this is how you can see the picture. And this whole process of the speech, which starts from here, is actually the respiratory process. Okay, this is something to do with just the air entering the lungs and exhalation till it reaches trachea. From there on, it is the phonation. The next step is the phonation. Phonation is again the production of the sound by the vibration of the vocal cords. Then comes the articulation when it comes into the mouth. Then here it is, the larynx or the voice box. Just now I told you, where that consists of the epiglottis. Okay, epiglottis is nothing but a covering for the glottis, where it has to close and open. And right. Okay, the vocal folds are chiefly responsible for modulating the airflow from the lungs and determining its resonant frequency. The folds vibrate when they are close to obstruct the airflow through the glottis. The folds are forced open by increased air pressure in the lungs and closed again as the air pushes past the folds. Right. Now, resonance. If you look at the example for a resonance, what is resonance? When pushing a child on a swing, the preferred path as per the specifications of the system is straight up and down and can be accomplished with ease. And this is nothing but the path is called as the resonant frequency, which results in greater amplification. So, however, when pushing the child in a different direction, it becomes more difficult to produce such a result. So, that is nothing but resonance. In the phonation stage, when the air gushes out through the trachea or the windpipe, I mean, the kind of sound you want to produce, that actually dictates how it has to be coming up. That is nothing but a resonance. Right. Here we have the vocal tract, uh, where the raw sound which comes out from the vocal folds, it converts it into a recognizable sound. So this is called the vocal tract, where you have all these articulators. Now, again, the articulators are divided into which are movable or which are fixed articulators. Okay, that I'll discuss it in the next slide. Right. Right. So here the vocal tract acts like a variable filter because it reacts differently at different frequencies. So it is variable because by changing the position of your tongue, jaw, lips, etc., you can change the overall frequency response. Okay, let me also give you another example. For example, you know about a flute. A flute is nothing but just a hollow pipe with holes uh, onto it. Okay, now when you blow air into the flute or into that pipe, which is so called a pipe in, in terms of structure, you blow air into it. Now, when you just blow air into it without actually stopping the airflow from any of those holes, you hardly get to hear any sort of notes there. Now, when you again tap those holes, block the holes, not let the air flow from some of them, you keep your fingers on it, then you can hear a note there. You can hear a kind of a sound there. So similarly, this resonance in our mouth also happens in the same manner. When the air gushes out from the trachea, from the vocal cords, here in the mouth, there is a kind of an active role played by tongue or the jaw or the lips based on the kind of sound we need to emit. Accordingly, we get that. So that is how I even call this to be an orchestra, isn't it? Right. Now, coming to the voiced and unvoiced sounds, which I already mentioned just before this, voiced sounds are, kind of followed by z, d sounds such as plays, played, while unvoiced sounds are followed by s, t, okay, like likes, liked. So touch your throat when you say the sound. When it is voiced, you should be able to feel a vibration. Right. The nasal cavity. Now, the most voiced sounds are in the pharyngeal and oral cavities. The nasal sounds, that is, sometimes if you have noticed, now most of the sounds are articulated through the mouth and they are called consonant sounds, especially, or the vowel sounds. They are called as oral sounds. Okay. And there are a few which are, uh, you know, uh, come up to the nose, through the nose. Then the sounds such as m, n, ng, where the mouth blocks the air from coming out and the air tries to gush out and rush out through the nose, making a sound of these m, n, and ing, which are called as nasal sounds. So the sounds are either oral or nasal sounds. Okay, what is this pitch? Pitch is a perceived fundamental frequency of a sound. Now, right, okay, if I just want to put it in a simple this thing, pitch is nothing but uh, depends on the frequency. So the higher the frequency, the more is the pitch. Okay, so if you look at the adult female, it's already given there. It is say around 220 is the vibrations, the frequency. The more it's measured in hertz, right? 220 is the adult female frequency, whereas male it is 125, children it is 300. So that is what, if you've noticed the pitch in terms of children, it is higher than female, and female it is higher than the adult male. Okay, So here are the principal cavities of resonators: the pharyngeal cavity, the oral cavity, the nasal cavity. Right. I mean, they are the resonators. That is how we kind of produce different, varied kind of sounds there. Okay. So the study of sounds in a language is called as phonetics. And it talks about the language sounds and it describes, whereas phonemics is nothing but it's the arrangement of these phonemes into a meaningful word in a language is called phonemics. Right. I think we've already done with this organs of speech. Once again, just have a quick look at this, where we have lips, teeth, then as I told you just now, tip of the tongue, blade, and then you have the middle and the root and the edge of the tongue, root. Then nasal cavity, then the palate, oral cavity, velum. That's the soft tissue. Velum is the soft palate. Then here you have the pharynx. Then this is the epiglottis, esophagus. Then we have the larynx or the vocal cords. Then the alveolar ridge. And here is the teeth. Alveolar ridge is nothing but the hard ridge just behind the teeth. One second. Let me just move on to the next slide. Okay. Here, I just wanted to show you a video, but how far it will be this thing, I do not know. Let me just click open this video and share it with you. And let me see if I can. I hope you all are able to hear me.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll open a video and please tell me if you are able to see it. Sometimes the videos are, and I am unable to share the videos on the screen. So if at all possible, I'll try my best. Otherwise, we will just, I'll share the link itself. That's it. Hold on for a second. Oh, I think I have to stop sharing this. Hold on for a second. I'll just stop sharing this. Okay, fine. I'll try to show it at the end of the session. You kindly remind me. Okay. So here, let me just give you the anatomy of these speech processes. That is three areas of importance. That is lungs, which pushes air out. You have larynx, then the voice box is located, then supralaryngeal vocal tract, where above vocal cords and where sound waves become recognizable speech sounds. Right. I think I have discussed all this. Let me not repeat these slides again. Right. Okay, fine. Now coming to phonetic alphabet. You all know about IPA. That is, International Phonetic Association has come up with a phonetic alphabet, isn't it? So the sounds of spoken English don't match up a lot of time with letters of English. So the solution to describe the sounds of a language like English is to produce a separate alphabet with symbols which represents uh, sounds. Such a set of symbol is called phonetic alphabet. So formulated by the International Phonetic Association to have a system in which there was a one-to-one correspondence between each sound in language and each phonetic symbol. Now, do you know what was the need for us to come up, for the association to come up with an IPA, a phonetic structure for the sound? Can somebody please tell me what was the need? Now, we already had 26 letters in the alphabet, A to Z. Why again a 44 set of phonetics sounds? Can you please tell me? Yeah? Any idea? See, I'll show you this chart. Look at this chart. All together, how many? Yeah? 44, isn't it? So, it is all because in English, the letter of English letter, when you happen to look at the sound of it, there are at times one single letter can stand for two or three sounds. So, for example, if I tell you, say, for example, you have a letter A, no? So, now letter A can come up with many sounds. Like for example, A as in act, okay? And gate as in A as in gate, okay? And you have car where you have A. So if you look at this letter A and its corresponding sound, it's like very difficult for us to figure out what kind of a, the sound, or what if you at all you're going to use the same A for all the 3 to 4 sounds, and it's very difficult to figure out what exactly it has to be pronounced. So to ease out that, the IPA, International Phonetic Association, has come up with symbols for these sounds, for different sounds, in order to uh, you know pronounce it, in order to figure it out as to which sound goes in which pronunciation, right? Now here we have 44 sounds in that way. So we have 20 vowel sounds and 24 consonant sounds. So the pink color ones are the consonant sounds, which are 24 in number. And here in vowel sounds, where it shows 20, but if you've noticed, they are again divided into monophthongs and diphthongs. What are monophthongs? They are called as pure vowels. And what are diphthongs? They are called as gliding vowels. Now, monophthongs are called pure vowels because if you look at the position of the tongue when you pronounce these vowel sounds, it is at one place only. I mean, it's like you get the pronunciation from one direction, the one place itself. Like, for example, if I say sheep, the she E sound is just the E sound. You don't see any other sound. The movement of the tongue is not to be seen. It's just one sound which is uttered there. When it comes to diphthongs, are also a part of the vowel sounds, but they are gliding vowels. That to say, like if you look at the position of the tongue, it glides, it starts with one position and moves to another position. Hence, it is called a diphthong, right? And for example, if I say pure, so if you look at it, it's like oo and pure, right? When I say pair, a, you can see the sound as a. Then you have a word called mine, I, you get to hear I. I mean, they are like gliding, isn't it? So that is what is the difference between a pure vowel sound and a diphthong, a monophthong and a diphthong. Okay, now coming to the difference between, I mean, what are vowel sounds and consonant sounds? Now, vowels have less constricted airflow and consonants have more constricted airflow. Now, what do you mean by constriction here? That is, when you pronounce these vowel sounds, they are free to be pronounced. I mean, the air passes out freely from the mouth, irrespective of the shape of the lips, right? Sometimes they are rounded, sometimes they are wide open, the lips, but still you do not see any sort of stoppage or a constriction for the airflow when there is a vowel sound. But when it comes to a consonant sound, you have constriction at varied places based on the kind of consonant it is. Right. So when we talk about these consonants, there's a lot of, as I told you, constriction. The passage of air for a consonant sound is stopped at some places for some sounds. Okay, but it doesn't happen with vowel sounds. Okay. Now consonants are described by three features. That is the place of articulation, manner of articulation, and voicing. Right. So when I say place of articulation, so the location of stricture in the vocal tract, such as dental, bilabial, or velar. Just now I told you, consonant sounds basically are only known for this kind of constriction, this kind of stricture. Stricture is the stoppage of air at a particular place. Okay. So the location of the stricture, where which part of the mouth is actually preventing the flow of air. Is it completely? If it is completely, or it is, or, you know, or you can even, or from where is it pronounced? Like, the location at which point you get to hear that. For example, bilabial. Now, when I say the sound B, you know, then it is bilabial. When I have a sound of the dental thing, then you call it a dental, or it can be a velar. Okay. So it's like the place of articulation, from which point it is being pronounced. That is the place of articulation. That is one of the characteristic of a consonant sound. Right. Now coming to the manner of articulation. Okay. Now, when I talk about the place of articulation, there are several like this. Like it is bilabial, as I told you, like p, b, m, or if it is a labiodental, where, labio is the lip, dental is the upper teeth. Now, there are certain words which these both lower lip and the upper teeth are involved in producing this sound of consonant. That is f and v. If you can pronounce it on your own, you will be able to know it. Then there is something called dental, where the tip of the tongue and the upper teeth. The tip of the tongue is the active articulator. Let me again tell you, there are two articulators involved in the production of this consonant sounds. One is the active, one and the other is passive. Passive is always fixed, and active is the active articulators are the ones which are moving. So based on the passive articulator, the name, it takes the name of that. Okay. So based on the passive articulator, not the active one. Next, we have velar. Velar is like the center of tongue and velum. Like for example, the soft palate velum is the passive articulator there. Like you have the sound k, g. If you focus on it, you'll be able to hear that it is somewhere deep from inside the velum, right? Ng, the nasal one. Okay. So this is the place of articulation. Now coming to the manner of articulation. Okay. Now when I talk about the manner of articulation, it is like, it describes the way the air stream moves through the vocal tract until it is released to the exterior through the lips or the nose in case of nasal sounds. Right. So depending on the manner of articulation, consonants can be classified into plosives, affricates, fricatives, or approximant, and nasals and semi-vowels. That is the manner of articulation. See, this is where the airflow is obstructed, either completely or partially. In fricatives, it's mostly partial air releases there, right? Voiced and voiceless sounds. What is this? Just now I told you, voiceless, when the vocal cords are spread apart, the air from the lungs passes between them unimpeded. Sounds produced in this way are described as voiceless. For example, you have the f, k, p, s, sh, t, and t. Voiced, when the vocal cords are drawn together, the air from the lungs repeatedly pushes them apart as it passes through, creating a vibration effect. Like b, d, g, j, l, and these are all voiced. If you can notice, by putting your hand on your neck, you can feel that vibration. So here is the table. You can see a few examples given here for the voiced and voiceless sounds. Right. So as I told you already, manner of articulation is plosives, effricates, nasals, roll, trill, flap, tap, lateral, fricative. It's like they're divided into. So here plosives, for example, they are the oral stops. Example are like p, b, t, d, k, g. Affricates, ch, j. Then the nasal consonants, we have this n, m, n. Then we have trills, where the r sound, where it is like trill is like continuous tapping, where you have roaming, right? You feel that r continuously tapping against the ridge. A fricative, for example, is f, where the gap between the active articulator and passive articulator is so narrow that the air passes through them with friction. So place of articulations, as I told you, they are the bilabials, where the sounds which are formed using both upper and lower lips. Example, p, b, ma. Then we have labiodental, where lower lip and upper teeth, f and v. Dentals, formed with the tongue tipped behind the upper front teeth, th and th and th. Then we have alveolars, the blade of tongue, that is the front part of the tongue, and the alveolar ridge. We have s, z, for example. Then alveopalatals, palates, the palatals, the sounds produced with the tongue at the very front of the palate near the alveolar ridge. That is, you have ch, j, sh, and z, z. Right. Now, these are a few examples of the monophthongs. I think I've already told you about the diphthong and the monophthong, right? Now, right. Here, if you look at vowels and their characteristics, right? Are they voiced or voiceless? Now, if you look at this, you will understand the position of the tongue. That is very important in terms of reading a vowel sound. Okay. So this is something, a representation of the area in the oral cavity within which vowel sounds can be produced. Now, for example, the part of the tongue where on the top it's written as front, central, back. So which part of the tongue is the vowel sound produced? And then the height of the tongue, whether it is open. When the tongue is in its normal position, it is called as open. And when it is totally up onto the hard palate, it's called closed position. Now, the two positions in between are called closed mid and open mid, right? Something which is towards the open is called open, mid, and also it's called as half open. Half open, open, half close, and completely close. So when the tongue is at the base in a normal position, it's called open. On to the top, to the hard palate, it's called closed position. That is when you utter the vowel sounds, that is how the position of the tongue changes, the height of the tongue, and the part of the tongue, which part of the tongue is been touching the articulators, the fixed articulators there, the front, central, back, and so on, right? So if you look at the front vowels, now there are 4 front vowels. The vowel sounds which are produced at the front part of the tongue are called front vowels, and there are 4 front vowels. And in the production of these vowel sounds, the front part of the tongue is raised to different heights within the oral cavity. Like you have E, A. Now these are some of the front vowels. Okay. Then we also have the central vowels. Now there are 3 central vowels. Now in the production of these vowels, the central position of the tongue is raised to different heights again. Now, for example, we have a as in sun. Okay, a. Then we have just the as in drama. Okay, and then we have it's called long firm, turn. Okay, then we have then again a sound which is between a and burn, fern, and so on. So next we have back vowels. What are back vowels? There are almost 5 back vowels. Now during production of these vowels, the back part of the tongue is raised to different heights within the oral cavity. So the phonetic symbols of this 5 vowels, let me just tell you, they are oo, o, and then you have o, then you have long oo, then you have o, a, and o, and so on. Right. So this is what I told you, the height of the body of the tongue, the front back position of the tongue, the degree of lip rounding is also very, very important. The lip posture, whether it is, it is closed, rounded, or wide, right? Now, these are some of the sample words which fall into these a point of the tongue, that is, they are called front vowels, central vowels, and back vowels. The beat, about, boot, bit, mother, book. Now, if you can pronounce it and try checking the part of the tongue where and all it is hitting and which part of the tongue is actually trying to hit the hard palate, then you will understand whether it is front, central, or back vowel, and whether it is open or a close, or half open or half close. Right. So if you happen to write this, this is how you need to write it down. Like, it is front, close, lips closely spread. So front is the part of the tongue on which it is being pronounced. Close is the height of the tongue, whether it is up onto the palate. That's how it's called close. The lips closely spread. Lips closely spread is, they are like not completely oval, they are spread. They are like wide. Right. Yeah. So with this, we finish the vowels, consonants, and the process of speech production. Right? So if you have any doubts after this, you can ask. This is the time for us to clarify your doubts if you have anything. I hope you've understood what I've explained in this session. Yes. And next class, we will be taking up block 2, that is about words, where we talk about the content versus function words, word class, and types of verbs. One, the main verb, and the auxiliary verbs. Okay. So the next session we'll be doing block 2.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Just be online. I would like to take the picture.
Ma'am, can you share the slide, ma'am?
Oh, you want these slides? How do I share it? I'm not in a group also, right? How do I share this? You tell me.
Chat box, ma'am.
Uh-huh. Okay. 1 second. 1 second. Uh, 1 second. Can you just tell me how do I share this in the chat box? The whole PPT can be shared in the chat box. Are you sure?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then I need to stop sharing, no, first to copy it and put it into your this thing. Do I have to stop it? Yeah.
I don't know, ma'am.
Okay, just hold on. Let me try. Give me some time.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, well,
Uh-huh. Yes, ma'am.
oh well, the diphthongs and the monothongs, what the slide is showing right now.
Uh-huh.
Do we remember all of these things for examination purpose?
Yeah, of course. Examination
No, the
point of
diagram. I'm talking about the diagram,
not required. That's only for you to understand. Not
Oh,
required. Not required. Most of the visuals, what I was sharing it with you, is not meant for examination purpose of you. Like, you have to only basically focus on the 3 levels of speech production. Then vowel sounds, what are they divided into? How do you figure it out? Like, as I told you, open, close, and the part of the tongue and the height of the tongue for vowel sounds. And for
yes, the
consonants, it's
blade
the
tip of the
place, and
tongue.
yes. And for consonants, it is the place and the manner of articulation. Those are important. Nothing to do with
Okay.
the uh, the visual
The
thing what I
signs.
shared.
The
Yes,
signs. Okay.
signs. Yeah. But please kindly, now that you've touched upon this phonetics, I want you all to kindly look into all those 44 symbols of signs. Okay, symbols of those letters. That will be easy
Okay.
for you. Sounds. Okay.
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 Yeah,
Okay.
it's quite easy, pretty easy, barring a few. They're like little difficult. Otherwise, for example, if I tell you the sound of yeah, if you look at yeah, it is a small j. So people get
Yes.
confused looking at that. So, but still you familiarize yourself with all those sounds. That is very important. Even otherwise also, it's quite useful for you later on. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Hold on, ma. Just a second. Or 1 second, 1 second. Just did you get it, ma?
No, ma'am.
1 second, 1 second. It is loading.
Okay, ma'am.
It is loading. I copied and pasted in the chat box. That's what I did it. Is it right or
Oh,
not?
okay, ma'am. Seeing, ma'am.
Oh, it is loading. Slowly it is loading. Yeah, hold on. But let me tell you, there are a few slides which are not relevant to you. So I
Okay,
don't like there is a word accent and all that's meant for other semesters. So you just have to kind of ignore that, okay? Or delete it completely from that set of slides. Otherwise, you'll be confused. Now that you asked me to share, so immediately without editing, I had to share it.
okay, ma'am. No
But make sure
problem.
you don't take up that which is, that which is irrelevant to you.
Okay, ma'am.
Right?
Thank you.
Yeah. Can you please open your cameras so that I can just click a picture? If you don't mind, or it's up to you. It's up to you. Yeah, it's nice.
Sorry, ma'am.
Okay, okay, okay. No problem. No problem. Just hold on. It is still loading. I'm not shutting the window just because it is loading.
Okay, ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
Did you get ma? Just check.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. Thank you so much. What about Pranati? I didn't get any reply from you. You are the one who asked me.
Okay, seeing, ma'am.
I see it is completely uploaded there and shows 55.79 MB in the chat box. So because I'm waiting for your reply, ma, I need to shut the window now. By the way, Mr. Ahmed, if I see it on your screen,
Ma'am, not opening, ma'am.
hold on. Mr. Ahmed,
Yes, ma'am.
you said you got it. Can you please kindly open it and check whether it is you're able to open or not?
I'll be able to. I think I'll be able to because it's downloading, and
Still.
it is actually through a third party, and then the again on the
Ah,
Zoom also.
okay,
It takes
okay.
some time to download.
Okay.
I'm sure I'll be able to open.
Huh?
I'm
Okay.
sure I'll be able to open it because
Open.
it's
Okay.
showing the download time, and it is
Okay.
downloading as well.
Right. Otherwise, Pranati, Pranati?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Yes,
take
ma'am.
my number, beta. You please take my number.
Okay, ma'am.
You text me on WhatsApp. I'll send it to you personally if it is not opening for you. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah,
Okay, ma'am.
take it. 9494
Yes, ma'am.
231.
Yes, ma'am.
Hold on, beta. I will not say it like this because it's been live streamed. I'll put it in the chat box.
Okay, ma'am.
See if you can see the number.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It just came, ma'am.
Ah,
949423
yes,
17772.
yes, beta.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay,
Thank you
I
so much.
will just text me personally so that I'll share these
Okay, ma'am.
PPTs. Okay,
Okay, ma'am.
right.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, bye. Have a good day.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you, ma'am.
welcome.
Thank you,
so much.
ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome, ma'am. Most welcome.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye bye.